Lady, through our Lord we prevail. This video is about still looking for stories out there about debt collection practices, things that have happened to you or your family or your friends. Well, actually, no, not friends, just yourself or your family. I don't want, third person narrative. Unless it's like, my spouse or my son, my daughter, etc., my brother, my sister. But that's as far as we're going to go. So that would be what, second person? Not third person, like, yeah, I have this friend who said that his brother, sister, whatever, insert somebody's relationship. I'm not looking for that. But looking for people with debt collection stories, specifically things related to service. Now, I sat through, and it was interesting. Now, I've also found evidence, at least in Saginaw County, that some of these debt collectors and their lawyers, they have friends in the courthouse. I've experienced ex parte not more than 2 or 3 times. I've only been in court for this kind of stuff, twice? No, maybe 3 times. Anyway, since our financial captivity and my medical captivity, we'll call it, and then, regarding what the VA did, and nobody will own up to it. They just pass the buck and drop it right in front of me. But the VA said, open up all of your credit lines and credit cards and we'll reimburse you until we can get this problem sorted out with the agency that's supposed to be paying your shelter fees. They never paid me back. Matter of fact, they try to avoid it in conversation, saying that person no longer works at the Saginaw VA. Yeah, they went back to private practice up in Traverse City. Went back to full-time private practice. No longer is a social worker with the VA. Before, they were only part-time. They were also in practice. Now they're fully in practice. They did nothing to protect the clients of that social worker in Traverse City. But that being said, that caused a lot of financial damage too. And the identity theft has been ongoing since like 2019, possibly before that. But I have concrete evidence it's been going on since 2019, or I did. We've had people break in so many times the past 8 years and steal gadgets, steal hard drives, steal USB drives, steal file folders. Bunch of bloody criminals have been living around us for 8 years. And they try to pass it off like, oh, no, we don't bother him. We haven't done this. Yeah, it's always been people we live around for 8 years. They cover for each other. We go out of the house, we see people standing on a balcony, then texting, or walking down a street and then texting, looking at us, or making a phone call while they're staring at us. Stuff like that, Gang stalking people talk about that. Yeah, but this is interesting because I've actually doubled back and watched, and exactly that. Find troublemakers walking behind our place, stuff like that, or people quickly running, from the sidewalk that goes down the corridor to our place. So, it's apparently, at least in this situation, it's real. Or we find contractors snooping around 1 or 2 doors away. Yeah, contractors with the keys. Contractors. Not employed by the complex. Contractors. Just given the keys in free roam. How you sleep in your bed with that at night, thinking about that? But that being said, what I'm looking for is, situations where people are people are being unfairly litigated, and I'm trying to get people together for consumer pr- uh, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau complaints and Better Business Bureau. And then I believe you can also go to the FTC because what I've seen, at least in Saginaw County, I can't say about Bay, but at least in Saginaw County, um, again, I don't think this happens in Genesee, but at least, I'm talking about the counties that we spend time in or live in, and we spend a lot of time in Saginaw County. But I know without a doubt in Saginaw County that you have process servers that are lying. And I know for a fact that people who work in the courthouse know some of these debt collectors, or maybe it's even them. They have a conflict of interest going on. They work in a courthouse office that handles debt collection, litigation, civil suits, and they have perhaps they or a friend or a family member have a debt collection firm. But I know the day that I went to the court to say, what the heck is this? I have no idea what this is. Stuff's posted on my door, yeah, all the time. Many times defaced, many times um, you can't read it. It's wet, or it gets ripped down and thrown in the grass or in the woods, or people take it to their house. So I'm not saying that you may not have you may have tried, but I never received this. I don't know what this is. I don't know the debt they're talking about. Um, so that being said, um, they litigated me anyway. To the point of garnishment of my bank account. And I just talked to the attorney today, and he doesn't seem to care that I'm a disabled veteran. He's like, yeah, well, yeah, probably, a couple of months, we will go back to court. They're not one bit concerned about identity theft. Not at all. Not about verifying the charges. I'm a responsible person, but I'm not going to pay from things that somebody else did. Clone cards, yes. I was at Independent Bank in Saginaw, one of the independent banks in Saginaw County, and one of the bank managers pulled up my file, my bank card, and she's like, if you look at these charges, it sounds like she's trained in a little bit of investigation. Or maybe, she might be a forensic accountant too. Actually, I think she was. But, which is, a good sideline for somebody who works at a bank, financial accounting. Or, forensic accounting. But it's just a certification. You get your degree in some kind of accounting, and then you meet some kind of accreditation agency's requirements to be certified. Boom. You are a certified forensic accountant. But she said if you look at some of your charges with your card, just within the city and the bordering townships, she's like, there's a lot of stuff here that's duplicate. She said there's a lot of time there's charges right after, almost the exact same thing. It's interesting. She said, this is kind of strange. But, and so she took a screenshot of it. But, a screenshot of, her computer screen. But so, I know I'm a victim of identity theft without a doubt. The evidence is overwhelming. The only question is, how long has this been going on? Since my house in Flint. But I'm pretty sure the more serious of it has been happening since we came back to the States. I get, some kind of a notice or some kind of a letter or just something, happening. And I'll get something in the mail or an email or a phone call, and I'll be like, somebody's doing something again. But, but apparently the judge, he doesn't care. The chief judge in Saginaw County doesn't care. He puts it all back on the defendant, saying, well, I hear it all the time. I didn't get service. But to somebody who steps back and looks at it, who cares? They're in court now. That's the way I look at it. They're in court now. It doesn't matter before, oh, I don't believe you. I think we tried 5 different ways. Well, I will testify in court and before the legislature in Saginaw County. Process servers are lying. They are lying. And many times you'll find these process server companies, they have relatives that work in the courthouse. There's all kinds of conflict of interest, all kinds of it. And I know the day I was in the courthouse finding out what this garnishment letter is to Independent Bank, and that same exact day, I have a letter from the attorney's office basically sent to me just to say, ha ha ha, you're dumb, you're not a lawyer, I am. Whatever your motion is invalid because blah, 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 blah. Not looking to resolve anything. Scribes, as Jesus called them, hypocrites. They think they know so much about the legal system. They think that they're better than other people. Woe to you hypocrites, Jesus' exact words. But, so that letter is dated for the exact day that I was at the courthouse. So how could somebody receive, a copy of my motion the same day when their office is in Detroit? Somebody knows somebody. Conflict of interest. And good American families are being targeted by that courthouse, especially in district civil court. And then I've encountered process servers that, when I get copies of documents from the courthouse or in the mail, and I see all kinds of things signed and attested, I did blah, blah, blah. Lies. I served this person, John Doe. And then a notarized statement. I served this person in person, blah, blah, blah. Again, I testify. I swear under oath that I personally served John Doe on October 31st, 2025. They're lying. This is perjury. These are sworn affidavits. Court doesn't care. And so what? Again, somebody who steps back and can see the entire picture and is not obtuse-minded. You step back. Yeah, also I saw that my judge, he just happened to be grocery shopping at the same place we were. Because I rebuked his court. In the name of God. In the name of the Holy Trinity, I rebuked his court. Because it doesn't matter, all kinds of issues, but this right here that I'm speaking of, I rebuked his court for all kinds of reasons. The case especially. But they're disenfranchising and they're ruining people's lives who are trying to get on their feet and struggle in a town where money is hard to come by. Because of these civil suits, and people having massive conflicts of interest in that courthouse, massive. You got process servers lying, and posting something on somebody's door. That is an abuse of judicial power, and I encourage people. Your judges are not above the law. Yeah, it's not easy to unseat a judge, especially one from a district court, but it's not impossible. File Judicial Tenure Commission complaints. And, another great way to dig into your protecting yourself, kind of dig trenches around yourself and your family, jump into the background of your judge. I found that one of my judges is a YouTuber and does all kinds of investigations into people, and I've also found he has associations with racist extremist groups, and he's still sitting on the bench. And I found that this judge tends to target veterans more than other people, and he sits on the Veterans Court. He should not be. He was appointed by Michigan's most conservative judge ever, also the judge, or the most conservative governor, ever, and also the governor that covered up the Flint water crisis from the lead pipes. He was appointed by him right before that cover-up was culminated. Bad man, both of them. And I'm sure if I dug into this judge, I'd find something too. And I don't know how you go from adoption attorney all of a sudden to judge in the district court that makes decisions about families left and right. How does that suit you? You're generally focused on breaking up families. That's what adoption attorneys do. You know, he doesn't do overseas stuff. It's here in the States, which means he breaks up families. He's no overseas guy. Oh yeah, I'll help you get a child from, that's abandoned from here or there. No, he does domestic adoptions, which means he breaks up families. Vast majority of these are a family breaking up, not somebody assuming, a child assuming the step-parent's name. You don't need a lawyer for that. It's easy. This is somebody that breaks up families. Adopting a kid from foster care. Easy. It's a process. Don't need a lawyer. So that being said, they hire some bad people for this courthouse. Some very bad judges. And again, like I was saying before, before I segued and got on a tangent. If somebody is in the court, who cares? Oh, you were served, it's going to stand. I'm not going to give in to you. They're there in the courtroom. They're trying to work with you. They're trying to work with the creditor. Saying, look, if you guys can come to some kind of situation, mediation, people, mediation saves a ton of money. Unless the debt collector goes into mediation just wasting everybody's time. Because again, lack of ethics. These companies, once they get big, they always get sued. Because the ones that get big are always breaking the rules. So I'm looking for people that have had situations where somebody's lied about their service and the judge still sided with the creditor. And what I've experienced from Saginaw County, they always side with the creditors. We have a fundamental problem here. You want to talk about a swamp? That's a big, messy, disgusting, deep, murky swamp. Let's do something about it.